Welcome back to Cardboard Castaways. Muppet-like booming voice. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of spell and trap cards?
Get ready to dive deep, because today we're going beyond the basics, folks.
That's right.
We're talking about the strategic heart of Yu-Gi-Oh!
We're assuming you've already dabbled in the Duelverse before.
So we won't bore you with questions like, what's a monster card?
Right. We're diving straight into the deep end.
Spells and traps
Yeah.
are how you outmaneuver your opponent.
And how you surprise your opponent.
Ultimately, they're how you outduel your opponent.
All right. Let's start with spell cards.
They come in all sorts of flavors.
Each with their own unique powers.
It's like a magical buffet.
And we're here to sample it all.
First up, we have normal spell cards.
These are your one-shot wonders.
It's like a well-aimed magical blast.
You activate them,
You get their effect.
and then poof.
They're gone.
Gone but not forgotten.
Think of cards like Regeki
Boom. All your opponent's monsters are toast.
or Dark Hole.
Which is pretty much the same thing, but for both players.
You got to be careful with that one.
Sometimes you got to blow yourself up to win the duel.
Indeed, a bit of self-sacrifice can sometimes be the key to victory.
And we have continuous spell cards
These are like enchantments,
that hang around.
providing ongoing benefit,
Imagine a constant shield protecting your monsters
or a magic fountain.
that slowly replenishes your life points.
These cards often shape your overall strategy.
For example, a card like Swords of Revealing Light,
Prevents your opponent from attacking for 3 turns.
giving you time to build up your field.
Precisely.
Talk about a timeout. But continuous spells aren't always about defense,
Some can boost your monster's attack power.
or even disrupt your opponent's plays.
Exactly.
They add a layer of complexity to the duel,
Forcing you to think long-term.
about how your moves will affect the flow of the game.
And now for the fashion-forward cards.
The equip spells. These are all about giving your monsters a magical makeover.
A makeover with some serious strategic advantages, I might
You
add.
got that right. Equip spells are like giving your monsters magical weapons.
Or armor.
Like, hey, you weak little monster, put on this mage power.
And suddenly you're hitting like a truck.
Exactly. Equip spells can dramatically increase a monster's attack,
Or defense.
or even grant them new abilities.
And speaking of changing the game,
We've got field spell cards,
these affect the entire duel.
like changing the very landscape of the battlefield.
Field spells can provide benefits to certain types of monsters.
They can make specific cards harder to play.
Or even alter the basic rules of the game.
It's like suddenly you're dueling in the Amazon rainforest and all your plant-type monsters get a power boost.
Or you're in the Shadow Realm.
And suddenly all your opponent's monsters get weaker. Talk about a home field advantage.
Indeed, a well-chosen field spell.
Can significantly shift the balance of power.
But remember,
Field spells affect both players,
so you need to choose one that benefits your strategy.
while also hindering your opponents.
Now, for those who like to live life on the edge,
We have quick play spells,
these are the cards you can slam down during your opponent's turn.
like a magical mic drop.
Quick play spells.
Add an element of surprise and disruption.
They allow you to react to your opponent's moves
Interrupt their combos.
and even turn a seemingly losing situation around.
Imagine your opponent is about to deliver a game-winning attack, and you suddenly activate Mystical Space Typhoon.
To destroy their face-down Mirror Force trap card.
Talk about a plot twist.
The strategic possibilities with quick play spells are vast.
They require you to anticipate your opponent's moves.
And be ready to react at a moment's notice,
It's like a duel within a duel.
constantly jockeying for position and control.
Hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the magical world of spells,
Why not hit that like button?
and subscribe to our channel.
We've got more spellbinding content coming your way.
And we wouldn't want you to miss out.
And while you're at it,
Let us know in the comments what other Yu-Gi-Oh topics you'd like us to explore.
we're always up for a challenge.
Okay, now let's move on to the sneaky side of Yu-Gi-Oh! Trap cards.
Think of them as your secret weapons,
They're like setting magical booby traps for your opponent,
lying in wait to spring a surprise attack.
or to counter your opponent's strategies.
The element of surprise is a key part of what makes trap cards so powerful.
Oh yeah, nothing like the look on your opponent's face when they think they've got you cornered, and bam.
They force your opponent to play cautiously.
Always wondering what tricks you might have hidden up your sleeve.
Okay, let's break down the different types of traps.
First, we've got the classic normal trap cards,
These are your bread and butter traps.
activated under specific conditions.
Usually during your opponent's turn,
These are often reactive cards.
Used to counter your opponent's actions.
Think of a card like Mirror Force.
Your opponent attacks, and boom!
You activate Mirror Force.
You destroy all their attacking monsters.
It's like setting a mirror shield that reflects their attacks right back at them. Talk about a bad day for the aggressor.
Well, amusing.
It's important to remember that normal traps are not just defensive tools,
Some can be used offensively,
such as Call of the Haunted.
which allows you to special summon a monster from your graveyard,
That's right. Normal traps can be quite versatile,
depending on the situation.
and the cards in your hand.
Next, we have continuous trap cards.
These are like setting up magical wards,
They linger on the field,
providing ongoing benefits.
or hindering your opponent's plays.
It's like setting up a magical force field that protects your monsters from harm.
Or a curse that weakens your opponent's monsters over time.
For example, a card like Skill Drain,
Negates the effects of all face-up monsters on the field.
which can be devastating for a deck that relies heavily on monster effects.
Indeed.
Talk about a buzzkill for those fancy pants monster decks.
Continuous traps can really mess with your opponent's strategy if they're not careful,
They add a layer of complexity to the duel.
forcing players to adapt and find new ways to achieve their goals.
And finally, we have the big guns.
The counter traps. These are your ultimate defense.
Against spells and traps.
They are played in response to the activation of another spell or trap card.
Negating its effect entirely.
A well-timed counter trap can completely disrupt your opponent's plans
It's like saying, nope, not today, I'm countering your counter.
and swing the momentum of the duel in your favor.
But here's the thing about all these spells and traps, folks.
They're not just about activating them willy-nilly.
You gotta know the rules of the road.
And in Yu-Gi-Oh!
That road is paved with spell speed.
You see, spell speed is like a hierarchy that determines the order in which card effects resolve.
Ooh, spell speed. Sounds fancy.
Think of it like a duel within a duel where timing and speed are everything,
It's like a dance-off.
but with magical cards.
Some cards are slow waltzes.
And others are fast-paced hip-hop moves.
But the important thing to remember is that a card with a higher spell speed can interrupt a card with a lower spell speed.
So it's like a game of rock, paper, scissors, but with magical powers.
A quick play spell, with its high spell speed, can totally shut down a normal spell or trap.
Precisely. Let's say your opponent tries to play Pot of Greed,
A classic card that lets them draw 2 extra cards,
but you have 7 Tools of the Bandit,
which is a counter trap.
because counter traps have a higher spell speed.
You can interrupt their pot of greed and negate its effect.
Denying them those extra cards is like taking away their cheat codes.
Talk about a power move. But wait, there's more. We've got even faster cards like those super speedy counter traps.
They can even stop other counter traps.
Yeah.
It can get quite complex,
It's like a strategic chain reaction
where each player tries to outmaneuver the other.
with faster and more powerful cards.
Knowing spell speed.
Is like having the cheat codes to the duel
It's the key to mastering the art of timing.
and disruption.
Understanding spell speed is crucial for anyone who wants to take their dueling to the next level.
It's not just about knowing what your cards do
It's about knowing when and how to play them.
to maximize their impact.
Now, let's get real for a second.
I know all this talk about spell speed and strategic combos can sound a bit overwhelming.
But trust me,
It's like learning to ride a bike.
once you get the hang of it,
It's a smooth ride.
practice makes perfect, as they say.
And remember,
The Yu-Gi-Oh! Community is full of helpful resources and friendly duelists who are always willing to share their knowledge.
that's right. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Watch tutorials
Or even just duel against different opponents.
to learn new tricks and strategies.
The more you play,
The more you'll understand the intricacies of spell speed.
and how to use it to your advantage.
And speaking of advantages,
We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's deep dive.
what are some of your favorite spell and trap card combos?
Let us know in the comments below.
We might even feature some of your suggestions in a future episode.
That's right. Share your dueling wisdom with the world.
And while you're at it,
Hit that subscribe button.
to join our ever-growing community of cardboard enthusiasts.
We're always cooking up new and exciting content.
To help you master the art of the duel, before we wrap things up,
Let's leave you a little food for thought.
considering the strategic depth of spell and trap cards,
What are some unconventional ways you could combine them?
to create surprising combos or counterplays,
Ooh, that's a good one.
think outside the duel disc.
What kind of crazy card interactions can you come up with? The possibilities are endless.
Remember, the true power of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lies in its endless potential for creativity and strategic thinking.
So go forth, duelists, and experiment.
Who knows what kind of game-changing combos you might discover?
That's it for this episode of Cardboard Castaways. Until next time, keep dueling, keep learning, and most importantly, keep having fun. But before we go, we got to talk about something super important. It's like the secret sauce of Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck building.
Ah, yes. The art of crafting a cohesive and powerful deck, that's where your true dueling skills shine through.
It's like putting together a puzzle. But instead of a boring old landscape, you're creating a symphony of destruction.
A symphony of strategic card interactions, I would say.
Okay, Mr. Serious. But seriously, folks, deck building is where you get to unleash your creativity and strategic genius.
It's about finding synergy between cards, anticipating your opponent's moves, and creating a deck that can adapt to different situations.
And don't forget about the bling factor. You gotta have some flashy, eye-catching cards in there.
Yeah.
Gotta make your opponent tremble in fear just by looking at your deck.
While aesthetics can be fun, I believe the true beauty of a deck lies in its functionality and strategic depth.
Fine, but a little bit of sparkle never hurt anyone. Now let's talk about some deck building tips. First off, you gotta know your win condition.
What's the ultimate goal of your deck?
Are you trying to swarm the field with monsters? Obliterate your opponent with a barrage of spells and traps.
Having a clear win condition in mind will guide your card choices and help you create a more focused and effective deck.
Exactly. It's like having a roadmap to victory. Next up, balance is key. You don't want a deck that's all monsters and no spells or traps, or vice versa.
A well-balanced deck has a good mix of cards that can handle different situations. You need monsters for attacking and defending, spells for disrupting your opponent and supporting your strategy, and traps for those unexpected surprises.
Think of it like a delicious Yu-Gi-Oh! Stew. You need the right ingredients in the right proportions to make it taste amazing.
An interesting analogy, but the point is well-taken balance is crucial.
And finally, don't be afraid to experiment. There's no one right way to build a deck.
That's right. The beauty of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is its vast card pool and the endless possibilities for deck creation.
So go wild. Try out different card combinations. Get creative. You might just discover the next meta-breaking deck.
And if you do, be sure to share it with us. We're always eager to see what innovative strategies our fellow duelists come up with.
That's right. And hey, while you're at it, why not hit that subscribe button and leave a comment letting us know what other Yu-Gi-Oh! Mysteries you'd like us to unravel. We're like those meddling kids from Scooby-Doo, but instead of spooky ghosts, we're tackling tricky card combos.
A rather unique comparison, but I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. We're overflowing with it. We're like a volcano of Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge ready to erupt.
Well, in that case, we encourage all of you to stay tuned for more exciting deep dives into the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! We've got plenty more strategies, insights, and maybe even a few explosions in store for you.
That's it for this deep dive into spells and traps. Until next time, keep dueling, keep believing in the heart of the cards, and most importantly, keep having fun.